The best thing about Kuala Lumpur is the thing that changes the most over time. And most people don't even notice until it's already happened. It's not about food, cost of living, or travel. It's actually about how easy day-to-day life feels here. And there's a specific moment when Kuala Lumpur stops becoming a destination and becomes your day-to-day baseline. And that's when you start to realize whether this lifestyle is sustainable or not. Living here and comparing that rhythm with other cities in Southeast Asia made that shift really clear. So in this video today, let me show you exactly where that change starts and why that's when Kuala Lumpur starts to begin to make the most sense. Okay, so at the beginning, Kuala Lumpur feels like an easy place to begin and set up. You've got places such as Mont Kiara and Bangsar with a range of different conveniences. Think supermarkets, restaurants, cafes, grab taxis and all these types of things, especially around the top neighbourhoods in the area. Think Bukit Jalil and Damansara and Bangsar, all of these types of places. You get a lot more space for the money that you pay, and it really feels like a life upgrade. So naturally you might have the feeling of you've upgraded your lifestyle and quality of life really quickly and really fast without much effort. And it really can feel like it improves that quickly without the same level of income back in other countries. And also you can add the travel aspects of traveling domestically within Malaysia. Think about if you want to travel out of Kuala Lumpur, you're just a short trip away from key places such as Malacca, Penang and Langkawi, and then also trips to other regions within the region of Southeast Asia, going and catching a quick flight over to Thailand to hit up those magnificent beaches or temples. And so I would say that your life, it doesn't really feel contained to one place, so to speak. It feels quite open with the conveniences of the travel options and how cost effective they are. And so when people talk about living here in Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia, most things that come to mind to begin with is the convenience, lifestyle and comfort. And to be fair, in all honesty, that is true. Just feel that, a bit of vibration. And yeah, so one thing to be mindful of here though, my friend, is that once this all starts to become normalised and becomes pretty much like your regular day-to-day, what type of shift can occur and how can you manage that around the lifestyle that you want to live? So yeah, it's quite a key point to hit here, isn't it? When you have this lifestyle upgrade, what happens when it starts to settle? So once you start to settle in and you start to see really what Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia is like on a day-to-day basis, it's not really about big moments here, so to speak, like standout feature moments. It's about how easy things feel here day to day. It's simple things like going to really convenient, well set up shopping malls like I'm doing today. I'm going to take you to a local spot not far from here in Mont Kiara. You can think about places such as Mid-Valley, Pavilion or TRX. And one of the great things is that all these conveniences are located in one place, and that makes things very efficient on a day-to-day basis. And even with food, if you go out to the different neighbourhoods, you'll be able to stumble across many different options: mamak stores, kopitiams, local shop lot areas, and international restaurants. You don't really need to plan too much because everything is always readily available. And the malls especially, they are a very big part of everyday life here. You've got the whole community kind of come together in one shared space, and you can go in there, cool down, spend time hanging around and enjoying the facilities with friends or family. And if you want to go and check it out, I'll link it in the video description below, is the Kuala Lumpur Malls video that I did. So if you want to get a sense of that kind of idea about the lifestyle aspect of the shopping malls and how all of the community here use those on a regular basis, you can go and check that out. And that's the beauty of life in Kuala Lumpur here. It does have that certain sense of frictionless living, where you can do your day-to-day errands, live your life without too much friction, and the things here, they feel smooth. And look, my friend, that does sound ideal, doesn't it, right? But what does start to happen subtly over time is something to be aware of and to take into consideration. All right, my friends, so I thought I'd just take a load off here, take a seat for a bit, and just let you know that we are at the intersection of the main Jalan Kiara Road and Jalan Duta Kiara. So going to make my way up there soon. This is quite a stretch, an uphill stretch that is a good walk in the morning. So after a while, what you may find is after you spent a reasonable amount of time in Kuala Lumpur, Places that you have been hanging out at, such as, you know, the regular places such as TTDI, Bandar Utama, maybe even going into central Kuala Lumpur like Bukit Bintang and KLCC Park, they can start to feel really like kind of everyday used places. And I would say this obviously depends from person to person, but they stop having this kind of newish type of feeling and become places where you spend your regular lifestyle here. Places such as the condo, the swimming pool, the gym, these places, they stop becoming these new features of your life, so to speak, and they become just kind of like the expectation that you have when you are planning your weekly schedule. For me, for example, I know that I kind of schedule my life based on when I want to use the pool, when I want to go out and go to a certain gym, or maybe, like today, planning to go to a shopping mall that I've frequented several times. And so, as with any type of place that you move to, right, you stop kind of like constantly going out and exploring all of these different new places. And I would say from my experience, you start to get into a pattern of using the same type of places and conveniences, whether it's different certain shops, cafes, things such as gyms, etc. And I would say, my friends, that that's when Kuala Lumpur, it stops becoming this place that you've recently come to where everything feels novel and a kind of like exciting freshness and newness factor to it. And it starts to become just like the everyday norm and every kind of day type of place that you're living in. But I would say here, the key question to ask yourself is, does it make the experience better or does it take something away? Okay, so making our way up the hill now, as you can see, we've left the kind of main Mont Kiara area. This is still part of Mont Kiara, as you can see here, if I pan the camera around. Quite the hill to climb, so it makes it a really good morning walk and a good way to stretch your legs and make your way to one of the kind of like really nice shopping malls here in Kuala Lumpur. So now I'd like to give just kind of maybe a little bit of a deeper insight into this aspect of the video today. And I would say for me that the biggest shift isn't about food, travel and all of these type of things, but how the ease of day-to-day life here feels, especially when you first move here. And just going with like a little bit of a broader theme here, I have actually been in Southeast Asia for a fair amount of time, for a few years, living in different regions, different countries, Indonesia, Myanmar, Thailand, and now Malaysia here in Kuala Lumpur. And so when you do first move here to somewhere like Kuala Lumpur, and even the same for other parts of Southeast Asia, everything here, for me anyway, from what I remember, it felt kind of like a lighter lifestyle and everything felt kind of like a little less pressured. I think it's because of the way that people live their lives here and the way that the culture is, because of the weather as well, right? You can't do things too quickly here. It needs to take your time in this type of climate. So yeah, it's just to give an insight. And like I said earlier, my friends, these type of things with the ease of life, it just kind of like becomes the norm and it becomes the regular with your lifestyle. And so having things such as good food readily available all the time, having space, and also affordable services and things like this, they become your normal baseline. They don't become a novelty anymore. And there may be a moment, or it may be like a few different fleeting moments over like a week, a month, or even a few months, where you start to realize that this isn't temporary anymore. It's your normal day-to-day living. Maybe you have a few really cool experiences over a week. Perhaps you have a really nice dinner with some friends in Mont Kiara, and then you spend the weekend taking a really nice stroll around KLCC Park. And then you go for a short domestic trip over to Sabah and Sarawak over in the east of Malaysia. And maybe you have those few fleeting experiences and it's suddenly something that you realise as a kind of like normal lifestyle that you're now living. And I would say that that is something that is a subtle shift, but it's certainly an important one. Okay, so I just wanted to come off the main road for a bit. Traffic was building up quite a lot there, and I found this beautiful side road here. I think it's called Changkit Duta Kiara, and there are some different residence options down here with the condos and apartments, and it's a really nice kind of back street neighbourhood to come and take a walk down if you want to come and see. There's also some construction going on of a new condominium project here as well. So yeah, come and check it out, and as you can see, I'm in some nice shaded bamboo here So yeah, kind of well shaded pathways to come and take a walk down, and yeah, we'll just have a bit of a talk about the next part of this video. So I would say this is where it starts to become perhaps a little bit more personal, because everybody's situation is different. Because once things start to feel normal here, there's a certain question that you need to ask yourself. Not whether KL is enjoyable itself, but whether this type of lifestyle works well for you in the long term. Because for some people here, living in these different types of locations in Kuala Lumpur, like Mont Kiara, Desa Park City, etc. It works really well for their lifestyle and the way that they want to kind of structure the way that they live. And yeah, this kind of like routine and comfort is exactly what they were looking for. But one thing you may want to consider is, for some people, doing the same things such as the same mall runs, same routines, and going to the same cafes and restaurants, this may start to feel a little bit repetitive after a while. But it's not as if Kuala Lumpur is lacking a range of things and options to do. You know, the entertainment options might not be as wide varying as some other locations in Southeast Asia and even globally, but there are a great range of things to do here. You can think about different places to experience within Kuala Lumpur itself, whether you're going to Bukit Bintang, Chinatown, the various parks and places of nature in the city, different types of food options to experience, and also all the different types of travel options that are available, whether it's in West Malaysia or East Malaysia. And so I would say that the experience that you have doesn't really depend on what's available, so to speak, but how you actually use it and integrate it into your lifestyle. Okay, so sun's out and it's just got past 10 o'clock and it's got the umbrella out. This is actually quite a norm to get the umbrella out to give you a bit of shade as you're walking between places. And yeah, it's kind of like a local hack that I've seen people do consistently, not just in Malaysia, but also in Southeast Asia. So yeah, if you are out and about, even if there's no rain in the forecast, do bring an umbrella, because it may come out handy and you can just whip it out and stay shaded as you walk between places. And then you've got places like Publica, which is a great example of what KL lifestyle is really like. And I would say it's built more around routine rather than anything else. It's actually part of a wider establishment called Duta Solaris. And it's a place which was designed with the community in mind. It's more of a shopping gallery rather than a mall. And this is why it may feel quite different compared to other places such as Pavilion Shopping Mall in Bukit Bintang or Surya Shopping Mall in KLCC. And even something like this, a simple walk from Arcaris in Mont Kiara to here where we are today, takes around about 30 to 40 minutes at a steady walking pace, and it's maybe around about 2 kilometers in terms of distance. And yeah, it's maybe something that you don't really think about doing when you first come here. So I don't think the real difference here is Kuala Lumpur itself, because the places, they don't really change. TTDI, Mont Kiara, Desa Park City, I would say they stay the same, but what changes perhaps is how you experience them. What you build inside that comfort with your structure, your routine, and I would say how you spend your life here determines the experience that you have. And I would say from my experience that if you use the city well by mixing in different types of routines, going out to experience different parts of the city and traveling where you can, then I would say it works really well. But if you start to rely on the environment wholly to support your routine and to keep things interesting, then I would say there may be a tendency for things to perhaps start to feel flat. Camera almost fell. Okay, so yeah, just arrived in Publica Shopping Mall, and as you can see, it's a very good community type of space that people use. So we've just come to get a coffee from GG Coffee. So I've just got a regular latte here for today, and you can order through the app. Nice. Yeah, even normally go for GG Coffee or what other ones are there? There's the Kenningham Coffee, and the other one is Zeus Coffee. They're kind of like the local coffee options here, and also Kopiku as well is another good one. And I'm sure there's lots of other good options here. These are kind of like the regular go-tos that I've used so far during my time here in Malaysia. So I would say the things that we have spoken about in the video today really start to make sense about Kuala Lumpur after you spend some time here, because it takes time for to settle in first, to get those first impressions, so to speak, and then to start to have a regular day-to-day routine where you can start to ground your life around regular places that you frequent on a weekly basis. Because that's the thing, right? At the start, it feels like a novelty type of effect, and it can almost feel like you're on holiday mode, so to speak. Because places like this, like Publica, TTDI, Bukit Jalil, and yeah, the kind of Damansara strip that the MRT lies on, they're not really about first impressions, it's about how they hold up over time. That, my friend, is hopefully what you might be able to experience after a while of being here, right? The places that felt novel and new, they start to feel like your normal baseline, and places that you go to on a regular basis. And that's the thing, right? You start to see how normal it feels compared to when you first came to Kuala Lumpur as a place to live. So that's the thing, right? I guess it's not really about kind of how it feels first here, so to speak, but if this place actually works for you with your long-term ambition and the things that you want to accomplish by living here in Kuala Lumpur. Because for a lot of people, I'd say that this is what they really come for, right? Kuala Lumpur is a great place to have as a base, to be comfortable, it's flexible, and you can build a really steady routine. This is kind of like a more raw take of life here in Kuala Lumpur, so if this is something that you would like to see more of, I'll try and get these out more regularly, and do let me know in the comments below what you thought about the aspects of the video today. This kind of idea about first impressions, having that holiday feeling, and then how it plays out over the long term of living here. And enjoy the rest of my coffee, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.